The canon of the New Testament, thrown down. The process to form the canon of the so-called Christian Greek writings, or New Testament, took several centuries to be determined and closed. Jesus and his followers during the first centuries of our era did not have a closed canon. They did not have what is currently called the Bible. Explanative note. The word Bible is derived from the Greek word Bibliou. This Greek word is used in the Septuagint to indicate what in Hebrew is called an individual scroll, book, and not a collection of books in a single volume. For example, Ezekiel 2 verse 9 says, "And I looked, and, behold, a hand was sent unto me, and in it was a scroll of a book." Scroll, Hebrew, Megillah. In Greek, Kephales. Book, Hebrew, Sefer, Sifra. In Greek, Bibliou. The different assemblies, ecclesias, of that time had certain specific writings for their community, letters that were addressed to each of them. Afterwards they were circulated and appeared as time went by. It seems that they also had some copies of the Hebrew translation called Septuagint. On the other hand, the Jews had certain independent Hebrew scrolls, also called books, but they were not found in a canon. Example, Luke 4 verse 17. They gave him the scroll, Greek, Bibliou, of the prophet Isaiah. Jesus unrolled it and found the place where the following is written. He unrolled it, Greek, anaptusso, which means opened, to unroll. The Bible, as a compendium, did not exist for the Christians of that time. The list of books that were accepted by the Catholic Church and, later, by other Christian confessions, came to be called the Biblical Canon. They called it the supposedly sacred text of divine inspiration. Currently the Catholic Church recognizes 27 writings for what they call the New Testament. Regarding the canon, the Catholic Church is like a mother for all religions and organizations that have accepted this arrangement of Christian books. The Council of Hippo of the Catholic Church, meeting in the year 393, was the one in which the canon or official list of the books that make up the Bible, Old and New Testament, was decided, according to the list that had been proposed in the Synod of Laodicea, 363, and by Pope Damasus in the year 382. The Council of Carthage, or also called Council III of Carthage, sponsored by the Catholic Church in the year 397, ratified the biblical canon of the OT and the NT of the Council of Hippo. The Latin translation called the Latin Vulgate together with the Synods of Carthage in 397 and 419 sealed the canon for a period of more than 1,000 years until the arrival of the Renaissance and the Reformation.
When the Renaissance arrived and the freedom that said movement brought, some authors questioned the validity of certain writings of the canon. Thus, in the 1522 translation, an edition known as the September Bible, Luther placed the Epistle to the Hebrews, the Epistle of James, the Epistle of Jude, and the Apocalypse in an appendix at the end of the Bible, outside the numbering of the other books, thus indicating his doubt about their supposed inspiration. Because of this, some Lutheran Bibles later removed these writings from their pages. These disputes against tradition led to the Council of Trent, between 1545 and 1563, finally defining the canon as one of the definitive dogmas of the Catholic Church. All Western Christian religions, regardless of their denomination, their doctrines and beliefs, by accepting the Catholic canon of the NT, all those religious organizations, whether they want to recognize it or not, are true daughters of their mother, the Catholic Church. Yes, Protestants, Evangelicals, Baptists, Pentecostals, Anglicans, Adventists, Millwrights, and all organizations derived from them, such as the Jehovah's Witnesses, have the Bible with the same books in the New Testament as the Catholic Church canon. None of the Western religions have accepted Luther's changes for this part of the canon, even if calling themselves Protestants or Lutherans. Thus, all these religions find themselves in a contradictory position. They recognize the canon established by the Catholic Church for the New Testament, the 27 books already mentioned. But the contradiction extends even further than that. They accept the authority of the Catholic Church over the NT, but claim that that church is false and corrupt. Will you continue to allow yourself to be manipulated? Or will you free yourself from the falsehoods of all religions? Will you appropriately use your reasoning and your freedom, or will you remain a slave to religion? The Book of Enoch, 1 Enoch, is not included in the canon of the Western Bible. Enoch is an intertestamentary book, that is, written during the period between the two testaments. Enoch was not included in the canon of the Western Bible. However, it is part of the canon of the Bible of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church and the Eritrean Orthodox Church, but it is not recognized as canonical, inspired by God, by the other so-called Christian churches, despite having been found in some of the Septuagint codices, Vatican Codex and Chester Beatty papyri. Even Ethiopian Jews include it in the Tanakh, unlike other modern Jews, who exclude it. Enoch is a Hebrew apocalyptic religious text, attributed by tradition to Enoch, Noah's great-grandfather. The reality seems to be that, rather, it was composed during the Jewish apocalyptic period between 300 BC and the beginning of the 1st century of our era. If you want more information, you can find a link in the description.
The Book of Enoch is not part of the canon of the Bible established by the Catholic Church. Apparently, only supposed divinely inspired books have been included in that canon. If that is true, then there is a great controversy about it. Let's explain. In the canon of the current Western Bible, the letter of Judas is included as, supposedly, inspired by God. However, Jude accurately quotes something written in the Book of Enoch. In that way, something uninspired is converted into something inspired. Can you see the incongruity? Analyze the following two texts. Jude 1 verses 14 to 15 of these Enoch also prophesied, in the 7th generation from Adam, saying, The Lord came with many thousands of his saints, to execute judgment on all, and to condemn all the wicked for all their works of impiety, which they have done ungodly, and of all the offensive things that ungodly sinners said against him. Now compare. Enoch 1 and 9, and behold, he comes with 10,000 of his saints to execute judgment on all, and to destroy all the wicked, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness which they have ungodly done, and of all the hard things that ungodly sinners do, have said against him. Reasoning. If it is written in Enoch, it is not divinely inspired, but if the exact same text or passage is written in the letter of Judas, then it is part of the canon and it is divinely inspired. This reasoning demolishes the ecclesiastical claim that the canon only contains sayings of divine inspiration. Will you continue to let the Catholic Church or any of its daughters steal your faculty of reason and discernment and your spiritual freedom?